Let's go ahead and start talking about Morocco today. Are your hosts for today. I'm Ashley. I'm the founder of Traverse Journeys. We also have our lovely retreat leader, Maria Brito. She'll be talking to us in just a little bit, telling us a little bit more specifically what she does. And just to get going, we'll start talk a little bit about Traverse Journeys. So we do small group trips and retreats around the world. And our motto is people, planet, purpose. So we really focus on people to people human interactions, getting to know the local culture, like having a positive impact in people's lives while also like transforming our own. We really take into account in our environmental impact and how we're treating the earth and the beautiful destinations that we visit. And all of our travel is based on meaningful experiences. So transformative experiences, having positive impacts on the local economy, spending our money in ways that can support that, and such. So today, as we know, we're talking about Morocco. So I'm going to walk through some of kind of the basics, and then we'll talk more about the trip itself. So just to kind of orient ourselves here. So Morocco, of course, is in North Africa, just south of Europe. It was a historic crossroads from the Middle East to North Africa up to Europe. So that's something that you'll see throughout the history and throughout your travels through the country, as you'll really see the impact of that, like very, very ancient trade routes. Historically, prior to the 7th century, this is when like the Arabs started coming in, primarily Berber or indigenous tribes in the region. Throughout the 8th to 14th century was when the Moors came from like the Middle Eastern area across North Africa and then up into Europe. You see a lot of Spanish history has this influence as well. During the 20th century is when you had the colonial period, both French and Spanish, depending on the part of Morocco that you're in. In today's modern day Morocco, it's like the primary religions are Islam, Christianity, and Judaism. You'll have some other like more local as well. And then the languages, like Arabic being a specific dialect called Darija, which is specific to Morocco. You have like tribal Berber languages and then also French. There's some Spanish in some parts of Morocco as well, in the northern part where like the colonialism was up there. So we really like to talk about in our trips, like values, cultural values. So something that you'll find in Morocco is like relationships are very, very central. So it's what we might call a collectivist culture, thinking in terms of we rather than me. So like very sociable, conversational, strong oral traditions. So you'll see things like hospitality. They want to make a good impression and have a positive image. Like you'll definitely get cups of tea, to like invite you into conversation. There's also this idea of saving face. It's like social shame. If you think of like a group and being a representative of a group, you're trying to protect that. So that's kind of a concept that comes up in Moroccan values. And then duty to the family here as well. That's very, very important in Moroccan lives, because like the family is very central to their values in life there. So another value that you'll see is like flexibility. So there are these ideas that we talk about that are in like cultural studies, and you can like deep dive into that. There's some really great resources that we can share as well. But flexibility is one of these. So like some things might be like very short-term focused, ability to pivot and improvise day to day based on what the priority is. Maybe someone in the family is sick and they need to tend to that person. You'll also see this show up in like language and conversation. Like you'll like jump from one language to another, or one topic to another. And this makes a lot of sense if you look at like their relationship with neighboring cultures and countries. It's this gateway to Europe with many cultural influences, and so this adaptability and flexibility is really like central to the development of like Morocco as a culture. So coming to our retreat, like why would you do a retreat in Morocco? So Alex, who traveled with us in 2020, right before the pandemic hit, said this. She said that this trip incorporates all the best that Morocco has to offer. Since the country is so relationship based, it really pays off having the connections that Traverse does in Morocco. I loved experiencing the authentic culture, cuisine, kind people, and colorful cities with so much character. I'm so glad we had daily yoga, and it helped us all stay balanced and mindful in the beautiful country we were in. So, Maria, we're gonna let her talk for a little bit, but like this upcoming retreat in May, we have two upcoming retreats. We have one in February with Jade, which is a yoga retreat. Jade couldn't join us today because she is actually in Morocco right now. The timing wasn't gonna work, but with Maria, she's with us today. And this is an extra special retreat because it's not just yoga. So she has a number of different modalities. So Maria, I'll let you talk about what a retreat with you is like. Oh, you need to unmute yourself.
Yes, yes, got it. Hello, everybody. So I am Maria Brito. I am a life coach, a yoga instructor, a breathwork facilitator, and I'm a human design coach as well. And so I work with women only. And one of the things that my retreats are known for is like it's a whole experience, transformational experience. So the woman that arrives on day one is not the same one that leaves on the last day. And I feel that going to a beautiful place like Morocco is it's releasing a layer of I always say there's like a liberation when you go to a new country, a new space that you don't know, that you are not familiar with. And it creates just a beautiful space for healing already. So, and then we go in deep. We go deep each day. We'll do somatic work. There'll be different modalities that I use with you each day to release another layer and another layer and another layer. And it's a very liberating experience. And so if you've ever wondered what it is like to work with a life coach, this would be a perfect opportunity for you. We'll be doing yoga every day. We'll be exploring meditation, breath work, and it's a total recalibration of body, mind, and spirit. So yeah, there you have it.
Thank you, Maria.
You're welcome.
And so in terms of like the structure of the retreat, so the sessions are worked in daily, and every day is going to be a little different because what's really cool about retreats like this, we like to call them like an adventure retreat, is like you're also dealing with the elements. Like you're in a different culture and there are a lot of inputs coming in, and like you have weather to deal with, and like the terrace might be different on one accommodation to the next. So there are a lot of these dynamic components, and so we work in the sessions each day according to the best flow for the day. You get to be in these settings with natural surroundings. You might hear like, birds in the background, and like you might catch different smells like a fig tree or an orange tree. We do we do yoga in the desert, or the workshops in the desert also, which is really a cool experience because you're just in all this space with sand dunes. Um, and then, as Maria said, this particular retreat in May is structured around various modalities. And we provide yoga mats on this trip, so you don't need to bring your own unless you would like to have your own, which you may. So this is a picture of out in the desert. So I'm going to take you on a little journey to share where we go. So this particular, actually it's 9 days now. We used to do 8 days, but everyone wanted more time in Marrakech. So this is our route, what it looks like. So we start and end in Marrakech, and we drive down. You can see Ouarzazate and Zagora. We drive down to the desert, and we stay in a really amazing, like family-owned camp in the Sahara Desert. And then we have an add-on. So it's not pictured in this map, but up north is Fez and Chefchaouen. Like we do a 3-night add-on to those. The only reason we don't combine it is 12 days is a little too much for some people because I know you have to get off work and whatnot. But it's a really worthwhile add-on because each city has its own flavor, and Marrakech and Fez are very, very different, as is Chefchaouen. So you get these like really different like palettes of Morocco by going to all three of those key places, along with the Sahara Desert. So things that we explore, like the riads are the old city, like the markets. So like Marrakesh has a riad, and you'll find them in the small towns that we visit, as well as like Fez and Chefchaouen. Seasonal foods, we'll talk more in depth about food in a minute. Moroccan food is really amazing, and it brings you into like the rhythm of seasons because you really do eat with the seasons there. The souks are the markets, and that's in like the riads are the lodging style that you would find in like the old towns of the cities, the medina. the souks or the markets, and you get to learn a lot about like how how shopping is and was done, because it's a very different experience, because you might have vendors of all selling spices all together, and you're like, why are they selling spices all together? So you get to learn about the systems and structures of how the culture is there as well. Hammam is like traditional massage style, something not to miss. It's an add-on that you can do. Absolutely love it. Get a little desert glamping, because we do have structured tents for you in the desert, so you're not totally just in the sand. We visit our community partner, a Berber women's co-op, and the trip donation goes to that organization. You also get to see how rugs are made from like wool to carpets, and learn why it's really important in the community. And then, of course, the daily workshops and yoga with our retreat leader. So here's some examples, some accommodations. Like this is in kind of like the Riyadh style in one of the very small towns. I think this one was Ouarzazate, like out on the way to the Sahara Desert. Really amazing, like architecture, how it's structured, different types of accommodations. You can see like the picture where everyone's eating. Like this is a Riyadh style apartment, or not apartment, accommodation. So like rooms are on all the sides of the atrium. It's a very classic Arab design. You can see some of like the outdoor vistas that you might have, like the kasbahs, or kind of these like estate style accommodations that we'll find more out, like far out in the, like on the way to the desert outside of the city. And then in the desert. So this is what it looks like when we're out in the sand and like in the middle of nowhere. It's just such an amazing experience, and like amazing hospitable, like a Moroccan hospitality with our structured tents. And we have like an eating tent and a bathroom, like kind of public bathroom that we all get to share, male side, female side. And then this is what it looks like when we do yoga. We get Moroccan carpets, and then at night we've got like a fire, and we've got music, and we're under the stars. So really, really incredible experience. So talking about the souks, like in Marrakech, and then also if you do the Fez add-on, we get to experience the Medina. So the Medina is the old city. Lots and lots of history there. Of course, there are touristy parts of the Medina, but like the Medina in Marrakech and in Fez are both very, very alive. And they're alive with artisans, with storytellers, with people who have been there for generations and are still selling and buying their vegetables, for example, or other goods and wares. What's great about going on like with our guide, we don't just see like the touristy area, but we get to actually go like meet vendors and learn about the spices. So I love spices, and this is like a dream to get to go there and like see what all they have. Um, After we spend a little bit of time in Marrakech, we head over the Atlas Mountains, which is just a really beautiful drive. I mean, there's definitely some driving in this itinerary. We're in awesome 4x4s to get across the desert. Make plenty of stops. You get to see the landscapes. One of the places that we stop at, called Aït Ben Haddou, is a very ancient city on like the classic trade route. You get to see and learn about the architecture here. This is actually a UNESCO site. The walls of all the buildings are made with an old traditional style of like mud and straw that actually has to be rebuilt like season after season because of the rains and the way that like it wears. But it's really incredible to like go see the stonework and go see the village itself and see like the artisans, like this painter. There's a really special style to this painting. It's really cool. I'm not going to tell you the secret to it. I'll have to let you go there yourself and find out, because it's really cool to learn about and has been used like in ancient, like for ancient times and reasons. So once we get into the desert, there's like, we have 2 nights in the desert, 1 full day, and we have time to explore. Like in the sand dunes, we go to a little oasis. We have downtime for like our yoga and workshops. You can stay back during the excursions if you'd rather just like journal and chill. It's really, really fun, and we have an amazing team of like, so on the left, this is me here with our guide Adil. He's on the left. I think it should show up. I don't know if it's showing up reverse for you guys, but like Adil, our local guide, is incredible, and our drivers take such good care of you. If you've ever driven in the snow, like backcountry in the snow, that's what it feels like driving in the sand. So they are really incredible. Take great care of you, getting you out to the desert camp. And then we also do a camel ride. And Adil will talk to you about camels and how he grew up in the Sahara Desert and how important it was to their culture and lifestyle. And so this is a really cool experience because people talk a lot about like, being ethical with the animals, of course, and like treating them well. And this is like part of like working life for many people still in the Sahara Desert. So it's a really cool thing to learn about and learn how like the animals are cared for and part of like the family. More yoga in the desert, just to kind of give you a feel for what it's like. Maybe little photo shoots if you have time with some of the beautiful sunsets. And then this is not a planned thing necessarily, but like this is from our 2020 trip. Adil, some of his family still lives like the actual nomadic lifestyle, and so we got to visit like a cousin of his, and the wife made us like stone bread, which they bake like in the ground. And then heading back from the desert is when we go to our Berber women's textile co-op that I mentioned. So each Traverse trip has a community partner, and we donate 1% of sales to that partner, and then we get to visit them. So in kind of outside of the desert, there's a community of women that make rugs, Moroccan rugs. And all of like, you can see all of the yarn here is all made from like natural dyes, like saffron and indigo and different barks. So you get to see how it's like dyed, and then the women, when they're making the rugs, it's their own creative design. A lot of these symbols, they all have meaning, like traditional meaning, and they tell stories. And like what's really cool about interacting with the women is they speak Berber. They don't speak Arabic and they don't speak English. And so you get this really cool interaction that is like not through just language, it's through like being there. And they love it when you come, like just see them weave and show you how it's done. And by no means do you have to, but you will have an opportunity to buy rugs here, which is amazing if you do, because like 90% of the proceeds go directly to the women. The other 10% goes to the community. When you buy rugs in like say Fez or Marrakech, like those go through many middlemen. And this region of Morocco is where the rugs are actually made. So it's a really cool experience to be able to do that directly if that's something that you're looking for. I have a rug in my bedroom from them actually. Um, okay, food in Morocco. So Moroccan food is one of my favorite cuisines in the world. It's so fresh. So you may have heard of tagines, as an example. You can see kind of on the bottom, there's two different tagines. Like tagine refers to the clay pot that it's cooked in. Um, and then it also like refers to the actual dish itself. So that it can be many different kinds, like lamb, chicken, very easily do vegetarian tagines, but this is probably the most common food that you'll see in Morocco, like as far as a dish goes. And then many, many different kinds of breads throughout Morocco, depending on what part of what area or what region you're in. Couscous, maybe you've had before. It's made with semolina, which is a product of wheat, and it's traditionally served on Fridays. You can find it other days, but that's the traditional day. You'll have different kinds of soup depending on the season. I've spent a lot of time there in the fall, and that's when pumpkin soup is, and it's amazing. I absolutely love it. Lentils are really good and easy to find vegetarian alternative or just like protein source that isn't meat based. You'll see tons of seasonal fruits. So like, depending on the time of year, like oranges, pomegranates, figs, dates. Same with veggies, like lots of zucchini and tomato, peppers, pumpkin, eggplant. For anyone that is vegan or vegetarian, it's quite easy to do with lentils and chickpeas as your protein source. Gluten-free is doable. You have to be careful of cross-contamination. If you're gluten-free, it's not so much to worry about. You can get rice and potatoes like for your carbohydrates. If you are celiac, you want to be more careful because like the concept of being gluten-free is not very, I'd say embraced in Morocco. It's like not very heard of. And so there is definitely most likely going to be cross-contamination. We do our absolute best to educate on it. But if you are celiac, we'll make sure and have it in the notes. It's always a good thing to have some snacks just in case. One of the main drinks in Morocco is Moroccan mint tea, which is absolutely delicious. It is very, very, very full of sugar unless you ask for it with no sugar. So just a fair warning. But they use gunpowder green mint or green tea, I mean, with mint leaves, fresh mint leaves, and it is fabulous. So there's some of the Moroccan tea for you. So here's like one of the nights on rooftop having some tea. They serve some little cookies, really good times. Here's one of our accommodations, like at breakfast, just to get an idea. Like food is also very communal in the way that you eat. This is at one of the riads. Here's out like on one of our drives to the desert, stopping for lunch. So and that's the main trip. So if you do continue on, if you do the add-on to Fez and Chefchaouen, you'll take the train. It's about a 7-hour train ride, but it's so scenic and beautiful. Bring a book, bring a podcast. It's such a great way to get up there. We stay at a really gorgeous accommodation in Fez, and you have you have a meal that night, and then the next day get to do a walking tour in Fez. Fez is like a labyrinth. Like the streets are not a grid in any sort. It's very, very difficult to navigate if you're not from there, which is why it's so great to have a guide. But you get to see so many artisan crafts, woodworking, metalworking, like brass and copper. There's so much architecture, like very ancient architecture. One of the oldest universities in the world is there, I believe. It's really a cool place to learn. These are the tanneries where leather is dyed, and then just street scenes in Fez. You know, I was talking about color earlier. Like Marrakech is really known for its like ochre red color. Fez is much more of like a white tone. These are all of the employees at our accommodations in Fez. So like they're just so loving and caring for you. The accommodations, this is a riad. It's a really nice one. It is absolutely gorgeous. We absolutely love staying there. This is another place that we stay at. And then we have 2 nights in Fez, and then we head over to Chefchaouen, which is known as the Blue Pearl. Might have heard of it before. It's very popular for Instagram posts, but it's a really sweet small town, and it like is also very ancient. And as you can see, the color is blue. So you get a night there. So just a few travel tips. We love traveling in the spring and the fall. We're definitely pushing the spring a little bit with our May dates with Maria, but the timing worked the best. Might get a little desert rain that can happen sometimes, but they're great times to travel because it's not as hot or as cold. Clothing wise, you know, Morocco is an Arab country, and it is more conservative when it comes to clothing. And so we have a great blog about like female solo travel in Morocco. And one of the things that I mentioned in there is just being respectful of the local culture. You know, like, yes, we can, you know, to an extent feel like it's our body and we can choose to do what we want with it. But when we're in a host country and a host culture, like we're really paying that respect, but also then we don't get the attention we don't want. So it works out really well. So there's some good tips there. You know, for guys, you can wear shorts, and gals and guys, like if you're doing yoga, obviously at the accommodations, you can wear yoga clothes, no problem at all. It's more just about when you're out and about being kind of like mindful of the local culture. Generally, you know, it's quite safe in Morocco. I've spent a lot of time there alone. You want to use street smarts though, like not walking out in the Medina at night, probably past like when it's dark, alone. It's good to have a walking buddy, especially because there are a lot of small back streets that you'll probably have to go to get to your riad. Cash is still used a lot. So having cash, dirhams is the currency, which you can easily get at ATMs. That's very helpful. And then ethical travel. One of the things we often talk about with that in regards to things is like photos, like being aware of who you're taking pictures of and what power structures there might be with that, asking permission. You know, if you're in the Medina, you'll probably be asked for money if you do that. So either taking pictures like from far away of groups, avoiding taking pictures of children, and also just being kind of aware with your who and where you're taking photos. Also, we talk about in some countries, you'll have people ask for money or kids ask for money. And, certainly a personal choice. We tend to encourage people that if they feel that they want to support an organization, it tends to have better structural change versus just giving an individual money where you don't know kind of what the story is, or if it's a child, it can be de-incentivizing for like spending, being in school or being in education. So those are kind of, we talk more about that on the trip, but those are kind of some tips that we give for like ethical travel as well. A couple more things, yeah, with like solo female travel, just considering gender norms, it's definitely more of like a masculine culture in Morocco. So, if you are asking for attention, you'll get attention. So if you don't want attention, dressing more conservatively will help that. Um, Time and place matters also. You can be kind, but not too friendly because that can be misinterpreted. So, and don't be afraid to speak up. You can just say no, thank you, or keep walking, or ask for somebody else's support. So those are a few tips for solo female travel. Okay, so our two upcoming trips that we have, we've got one in February. We do have one female spot left. It's led by our yoga instructor, Jade, who's absolutely incredible. And then we've got, of course, Maria's coming up in May. So you can use these, and we'll also send these codes in the follow-up email. And we have more events coming up on lots of destinations: Mexico, Costa Rica, Nepal, Brazil, Cyprus. So definitely check those out. Keep an eye out on your emails, and I'll send some links for those. And now we have time for questions. Does anyone have any questions about the trip, about Morocco, for Maria? Any questions? So quiet. We usually get so many questions about Morocco, so hopefully that means that we covered all of the subjects. Maria, do you have any parting words that you would like to say?
I'm just really excited for this opportunity to work with you, and I'm excited to see who signs up and joins
Awesome.
the adventure.
Oh, Beth, thank you so much. Great to have you on. We've been emailing, so no worries. Hop off for your meeting and we'll be in touch. So, all right. Well, with that, then we'll just close it off, and feel free and email us. Andrea will be sending everyone a follow-up. And we hope to have you along with us in Morocco. Bye.